Greetings, unsettled souls. Welcome to the Correct Views, friends. My name is Samuel Gangi, and I welcome you to the show. I want to remind everyone, as people are tuning in, that this is listener supported. That means that maybe you don't like my microphone. I don't like my microphone either. Only way I'm going to get a new one is if you guys support the show. You can do so by donating at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com. Just go ahead and do it through PayPal. And all the money that I get for it will go towards a better show. I promise you that it will. I'm going to go ahead and get straight into the coverage. Check this out. How many of you have said throughout your life that, I bet you if I ever win the lottery, I'll die right after I win it? My dad used to say that all the time. You know, you might not want to say that because I imagine the person that I'm about to report on said that. And guess what? That's what happened. NSN News. I'm not kidding. Man 51 dies weeks after winning $1 million lottery jackpot. Because he probably saw after taxes he owed money. A New York man who hit the jackpot with a $1 million scratch-off no less, ticket died 3 weeks ago. Let me try that again. With a $1 million scratch-off ticket 3 weeks ago, died suddenly Friday, succumbing to stage 4 cancer, according to reports. So, I mean, he likely knew that it was coming anyhow, but perhaps he had hoped that the money would save him. Maybe if it had come sooner. Don Savastano, 51, passed away from an unspecified form of cancer he had recently been diagnosed with. He was a self-employed carpenter who spent $10 on a whim on a Merry Millionaire scratch-off ticket, according to WBNG. The Queens native told the news station at the time that he planned on using the $661,800 lump sum, which is what you get when taxes are. It took almost half in taxes, to buy a new truck, pay off some debt, and invest in the future. An obituary published Sunday by Lester R. Goldman's funeral home in Onondaga said Savastano was survived by his mother, 2 sisters, and now very rich 4 brothers. He died in his home surrounded by his family. Maybe it's just me, but that's just really sad. Not only did he die so incredibly young, but he probably, as a carpenter, never got to imagine the kind of money that he won. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like he really got to enjoy any of it. It's heartbreaking. Moving on to something even more frightening, at least in terms of the number of people whose rights it will likely violate. This is from the Daily Star. Real-life RoboCop car giant Ford developing AI-driven cop car to catch speeding drivers. Now, here's the problem with this. The entire idea behind traffic laws has been completely lost in our country. It's about taking the money, friends. That's what it's about. It's about getting into your pocket and about taking your money. It's about stealing from you, and there's nothing you can do about it. It costs more. Most people don't know this. Those of you tuning in, let me know in my comment line if you've seen this to be the case. I was innocent of an offense about 9 months, a year ago. And it would have cost so much for me to beat it, to prove that I was right, that it wasn't worth it. That is stealing. I don't care how you mock it up, how you want to write it up and polish it. You can polish a turd all you want to, but guess what? At the end of the day, friends, it's still a turd. And this is only going to make things much worse. What do you expect from a company that once funded Nazis, knowingly? The U.S. automotive firm revealed its plans to revolutionize how the roads are policed using state-of-the-art technology. The automation cop car will be designed for snagging drivers for going too fast and will be used as a surveillance device and even be able to issue tickets to people. Friends, if you're happy about that, there's something very wrong with you. I mean, very, very wrong with you. For one thing, it doesn't even know if you were speeding up to pass someone or not, but I'm sure you can pay to go to court and fight it if you'd like to give even more money to the state that has no business being in your freaking pocketbook to begin with. The AI police car will be fitted with cameras, wireless communication sensors, and is designed to go on about on its own or with human inside. It can even be linked to other police vehicles so that it can call for backup in an emergency situation. See, that's not so bad, but you know how it's going to be used. They love to take things like this. And at first, they tell us how it's going to be helpful and how it's going to be so wonderful for all of us. But you know what? It's always, at the end of the day, about stealing from us. And I'm pretty sure that that's what we're seeing right here. A patent for the design released by Ford states that an autonomous police vehicle may enforce traffic laws by identifying violators, pulling over the offensive vehicle, capturing the image of the license plate, and determining whether or not to issue a ticket. Autonomous police vehicles may be trained or otherwise programmed using machine learning tools. Speaking at a conference in Vegas last month, Ford's CEO, and I might argue a Fourth Amendment traitor, Jim Hackett, said the car and the system will be talking to each other, and changing one piece of system necessarily changes the whole. What we want is a depiction of the city of tomorrow that demonstrates the benefits of introducing smart cars. But let me tell you what, friends, I don't think there's going to be too many people, unless America is as far dumbed down as I sometimes fear that it is. Don't think there's going to be too many people lining up to call this a good idea. As a matter of fact, it's just a furtherment of the police station, which has led to much of the unhappiness that police have dealt with in recent times. All right, guys, what's even worse than that? How about hypersonic warfare from the Daily Beast? Most of you don't even know what it is. Most people have no interest in it, but when you hear about this, you sure as hell will. About 3 a.m. on Halloween morning, senior Pentagon officials gathered around television monitors to watch a live feed of high-stakes experimental weapon, a launch from Hawaii of a hypersonic glide vehicle, a pointy contraption carrying the hopes of U.S. military leaders to beat China and Russia in the race for new ultra-fast missiles, which means they can get here even more rapidly than before. We already know that some parts of the U.S. have only a 15-minute warning should North Korea start getting squirrely, and now we see this. On screen was a 3-stage rocket sitting on a launch pad at the Kunai test facility. It shot into the warm night, and it's now seen one of a kind, exquisite prototype weapon 3 years in the making. It says it's somewhere near the edge of the atmosphere. The booster separated and released a so-called advanced hypersonic weapon, as you see there, which then screamed for 3,800 kilometers at speeds of at least 5 times the speed of sound. Actual velocity and trajectory do remain classified, of course, and the military test range this happened in was in the Marshall Islands. It was dubbed as very successful, and the Halloween test was modified as a version of the advanced hypersonic weapon that successfully flew the same route in 2011 in the conventional prompt strike program's only other successful flight to date. The glide path should keep the AHW from being confused with a nuclear missile, but pushing the envelope of scientific achievement carries a technical risk and a heavy price tag. It says, for instance, the cost of the recent flight test was about $160 million, so the tests are very expensive, says Dyke Wetherington. He is the principal director of space, strategic, and intelligence systems at Pentagon's acquisition directorate, I can't even talk today, which oversees the conventional prompt strike program. Because of their speed, hypersonic weapons travel at least 1 mile per second. And their maneuverability in their low altitude, these fledgling new weapons could penetrate even the most sophisticated air defense systems. And it says, we are assessing the results of the test. Generally, I will say we were most satisfied with the results. The Pentagon official also said that we can tell you that it's matured a number of technologies that have relevance in associating capabilities in what a warfighter might need in the future, operational compatibility. And it's an 80-year-old promise. They've been trying to get this done for a long time. And it says, can they be stopped? The Pentagon says in closing that the technologies for a potential offensive hypersonic weapon, one that is not used just to defend one's country, is in the early stages of sorting out the other half of the equation. That's how to defend against them. Air Force Advisory Panel commissioned and explore options to defending against hypersonic weapons. So basically, they're going to have to create new weapons that are like the Patriot missile system, which is very popular for taking out missiles that are en route. We saw them in Gulf War I. Missile comes in, Scud missile or Patriot missile takes it out of the sky. Problem here is that we haven't developed those yet. So if the information on how to make these leaks out, or if just one of the weapons was to maybe not detonate or to be captured, or the blueprints make it to another nation, any of the other ways that spy technology or new technology falls into the hands of our enemies, and we may have no way to defend against it. And it's not really like we can't make it, since China and Russia are making it. It's not going to help us to not make it. But the point is that we have now entered a new phase in warfare that is certainly not going to make very many people comfortable. Guys, I got two more to get to. This one's short and very important. If I can get back to my page. I hate when Yahoo does that. Jay-Z has proved himself to be every bit as ridiculous as we've known him to be. And Trump wants Jay-Z to know that black jobless rate is at a record low. And we hear this a lot. You hear people that are adamantly against Trump, and they can't say why. Oh, they'll say that the media calls him a racist, but there's nothing that would imply that he's racist at all. He wants to make things better for all America, not just white America. He wants to make sure that Americans are taken care of. And for some reason, he gets a lot of backlash for that. And I'm not talking about people that disagree with policies. I'm talking about people that attack him for virtually no reason at all. He's urging Trump is his followers to inform the rapper that because of my policies, unemployment among black Americans is the lowest rate ever recorded. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that doesn't sound like a racist to me. It was in response to the Jay-Z saying President's vulgar statements about African countries and Haiti were disappointing and hurtful. Well, the thing is, he's talking about how President Trump supposedly called some areas like Haiti the shiznit hole to censor it enough that all of you can share it. The problem is he didn't say it. He didn't say it at all, but it was paraphrased and credited to him, and now it's something he has to deal with. Jay-Z had said on the Van Jones show on Saturday, lower unemployment among blacks doesn't make for a good president. Now, I think the only reason he would say that is because President Obama did an absolutely abysmal job when it came to taking care of the black unemployment rate. So if Jay-Z was to admit that, he would have to, actually speak the truth and probably lose his perks, which come from being President Barack Obama's friend. Oh, what's that? Well, you know what that is. That is the dumdee of the day. It means it's the last story when you get to hear about the stupidest person that I have found in the news cycle today. We will be doing the Dunce Cap of the Month soon, as you guys know, but I wanted to get to this today because I thought it was interesting. It was definitely in line to win, but I have sent out numerous Dunce Caps for faith science like this before, so I didn't want to repeat myself and bore my listeners. But this has to be heard here. Daily Caller, scientists have once again set up mock Arctic base camp to educate the world leaders about the man-made warming of the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. Climate scientists hope that their mock camp illustrates how global warming could impact the Arctic, but the Gore effect, which is the lack of warming, may make it harder to get the message across. Davos has seen frigid temperatures, and they are in 6 feet of snow. There is so much snow that authorities evacuated some neighborhoods due to avalanche concerns, according to CNBC. Heavy snow had already blocked the rail line through the Alps from Zurich. Villages along the route have the highest level of avalanche alert. A half-hour bus trip on back roads around the blockage and then loaded them onto crowded commuter trains is what greeted those who came to the global warming sign. In other words, the area that Al Gore said wasn't going to see any snow is seeing so much snow they almost can't get to it. Scientific evidence on Arctic change is unequivocal, and it's sending us a warning cry that has a profound risk of global warming. Friends, They can't even get to the global warming summit because of the snow, so that they can tell you that you need to pay for a lack of snow. That doesn't make any sense to you. Well, please remember that you heard about it. These facts that you're not getting elsewhere, you heard about it from the Correct Views. And you can help me a lot by donating at thecorrectviews@hotmail.com. You can do so through PayPal, and I would love it, so that I could get a real studio again, my camera, and things that don't suck. Thank you, friends. Good night. God bless. Thanks for listening. Hit share, hit subscribe. It means the world.